with UAE acquisitions, funding's definitely a little different to the UK. Now, look, there are a lot of commercial banks that offer, traditional debt financing. First Abu Dhabi Bank, Emirates MBD, Mashreq, ADCB. They do actually provide acquisition finance, but they're very, very strict on who they give it to. They're looking for very established buyers, or deals with hard collateral, and businesses with very, very strong cash flow as well. And they're also a lot more conservative. They don't really offer full leverage on leverage buyouts like or acquisitions in general in the UK, like the UK or the US is very, very different. They are going to want an equity contribution of probably anywhere between 20 to 40%, depending on the deal. Now, of course, you can get more creative with it. We acquired a real estate agency, No Money Down, out here a few years ago. We've had a few inside the 5D program that have acquired, learning centers, nurseries. We also have one at the moment in the process of buying a manufacturing company out here in the UAE. So yes, you can do it. You just have to get a little bit more creative and really work on deal structure, probably even more so, even though I'm very much for working on the structure of the deal and making sense of it and making sure it actually does make sense in the UK and US and Canada, Australia, etc. But the UAE even more so, because you have to really understand the dynamics of the deal. But also, look, there's a lot of private equity, debt funds, family offices out here in the UAE. They're very useful for mid-market deals at least. So it depends on the size deals you're looking for. And then to the next part, multiples. So if this is for the UAE, so look, multiples are always going to depend on size of the business or industry. At the end of the day, a business is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, regardless of what somebody thinks the average multiple for their business is in the sector. Is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. Okay, and until someone pays X for it, it's not worth X. Okay, there's a lot of assumptions to be made, but also in the UAE, they fluctuate massively. From my experience anyway, some are very, very low and you start to think, whoa, why is this business so cheap? And others are just ridiculous. It's super, super high. So I think, the UAE, I don't think it really hasn't really a cemented M&A environment out here yet. So I think that, yes, businesses get acquired and, change hands, but, it's not a very mature environment for it at the moment. So I think that, some of the expectations are crazy, and then some are probably, wildly too low. Even quite recently, I went to visit a business with a friend of mine, and the price they wanted for the business based on the rent increase of the building he was operating out of, the business, they would have to pay this individual to take it off their hands. It was just the way they come to that valuation. They brought a consultant to the table, and we sat with the consultant, and they couldn't really understand how they got to that figure themselves. So I think this market's still maturing, and I think there'll be a lot of activity in the coming years. But obviously, financing is always going to be a bit of a constraint in the UAE because the laws are different as well. So that's definitely something to think about as well.